Hey guys, it's Angela, and today I'm going to be telling you about all the books I read during the month of February. I read 11 books this month, and that's a lot for me in one month, and that's completely thanks to the Booktube Games. The Booktube Games were inspired by the Disney Channel games and created by my friend Myonna from Little Wolf Reads. And let me start by saying thank you so much, Myonna, for creating the Booktube Games. I had so much fun, I made so many new friends, and I can't wait for the next round. So I was on Team Hogwarts, and this is my second time filming this video. I filmed it yesterday and I wore like a cute little Hogwarts shirt that had Slytherin because that's my house. But the footage was like really dark and icky, so here we are refilming it. Like I said, I read 11 books this month. I read 3 4-star books, 2 4.5-star books, and 6 5-star books, which is really good for me. So let's start by talking about all the 4-star books I read this month. The first book I'd like to talk about is Death Note, and this is actually the first manga I've ever read. It was recommended in a video from Books with Chloe about mangas that she recommends, and I really enjoyed it. It's about a boy who finds a death note, and basically whose ever name you write in that specific note actually dies. So this is volumes 1 and 2, and it's so beautiful with like the matte cover and the black spray pages, and I can't wait to continue on with the series. I really enjoyed it. My next 4-star book for the month is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and before I even get to talking about it, can I just say that this book is literally the opposite of a floppy paperback. And this isn't mine, well now it is, but it wasn't before, it's my friend Haley's. And this book is so stiff to the point where it's like annoying, like I don't understand. Anyway, it's about this girl named Blue, and she finds out that if she kisses her true love, he will die, and then she meets who her true love is going to be. And it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. The next 4-star book I'd like to talk about is City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab, or I think it's Victoria Schwab for this because it is a middle grade. It's about this girl who can see ghosts, and her parents are ghost hunters, and they go on this trip to, I think it's Scotland. There's a lot of Harry Potter references, and it's a really good middle grade novel. I highly recommend. Now let's get into the 4.5-star books. The first 4.5-star book I have is Check Please. I think it's by Ngatsi Yukazu. I don't know how to say it, and I'm going to butcher it, and I feel really bad. But this book is amazing. It's a graphic novel about gay ice hockey. Again, not my book, borrowing it from a friend. But the artwork inside is just so fantastic, and I highly recommend. The next book I gave 4.5 stars this month was actually the group book, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I really enjoyed this book, I really did, but I knocked off a 0.5-star rating because it did take me so long to get into it. The writing is very beautiful and flowery, which is great, but for me, some points I really had to slow myself down to try to understand it. Strange the Dreamer is about a boy named Laszlo, who is also a librarian, and he is obsessed with the lost city of Weep, and so throughout this book we find more about Weep as well as another character, and it was really good. And this also is not my book, so I couldn't tab it, but I do plan to reread it and tab it in the future when I get myself my own copy. Now into the 5-star books. Like I mentioned, I have 6 5-star books, and the first book that I want to talk about is actually a graphic novel. And this is Mouse by Art Spiegelman. I'm not sure. I didn't say that correctly at all. But this book is the first graphic novel of 2, and it's about a mouse in the Holocaust, and I really enjoyed it. And I don't really have much to say about it other than it was really good, and I do recommend it, and I can't wait for the second volume because I know the second volume has more to do with like concentration camps, and the Holocaust is a topic that I'm quite interested about. So I would definitely recommend this first volume and probably the second volume too, because I'm sure it'll be good. The next book I read this month was the second manga I ever read, and this is Orange. Chloe also talked about this in her video, which I will have linked down below, and this was so good. I thought like going into it like, oh, Death Note was 4 stars, maybe like Orange will be 4 stars too. No, this was 5 stars, all of the stars. It's about a girl who receives a letter from herself in the future, and she's still in high school. And this letter is basically telling her about the changes that she needs to make in order to prevent something catastrophic from happening in the future. And this was so good and so heartwarming, but also heart-wrenching, and I loved it, so I highly recommend it. Speaking of Chloe from Books with Chloe, she has a book club with Common Spence, and the book that they read for the month of February was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. This is actually my first time reading anything by Leigh Bardugo, and I really enjoyed it. I loved the whole squad. I loved all the characters. I love how Kaz walked with a limp. I will be discussing that more in my disability video that will be coming up pretty soon. But this book was so fantastic, and again, the black sprayed edges are just beautiful. The next book I'm going to be talking about is The Hayden Game by Sally Thorne. Now this actually wasn't on my TBR for the month. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I wasn't feeling good, and so I stumbled downstairs into the basement, took a gander at my shelves, and was like, I've been wanting to read this. This will, distract me. Well, I stayed up till 2:30 and read the whole book in one sitting. Needless to say, this book is fantastic. Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads is constantly recommending it, and I totally understand why. This book involves two characters named Lucy and Josh who work in the same office, and the whole point of the book is it's basically a hate to love trope, and personally I really like that trope. So if you also like that trope or are just interested in general, this book is phenomenal. Obviously 5 stars. The next book I read this month, I read with my friend Jamie from Leo Reads, and it is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So during the month of February, I read 2 books by Victoria Schwab for the first time and enjoyed both of them. So this is about 2 morally gray characters, Victor and Eli, who create a thesis statement involving extraordinary people, and then it turns into an experiment gone quite wrong. And this book is so good, and everyone is so morally gray, and I highly recommend this book. My last 5-star book of the month is a book that hit me right in the feels emotionally, and I related to it a lot, and that is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. This book really meant a lot to me because there's a lot of anxiety rep in it, and as a person who struggles with anxiety, I was able to relate really well to Eliza and, her internal thoughts and feelings. But this book is about this girl named Eliza who has this online comic thing, and it's really famous. She has millions of followers, and it's been an ongoing project that she plans to wrap up during her senior year of high school. And she meets this boy who goes to her school who actually writes fan fiction for her comic, but she doesn't want to tell him that she's the one who writes it. So they kind of develop a relationship, and she's hiding her identity, and it was so good. The anxiety rep was so spot on, and so if you're a person who has anxiety or you're just interested in the book in general, I would definitely recommend it. And like I said, it's my favorite book that I read this month, and it's probably going to end up on my favorites of the year. So those were all the books I read throughout the month of February. I just want to shout out Myonna again, and thank you so much for creating the Booktube Games. I had so much fun, and like I said, I made so many new friends, and it really encouraged me to read because it was a competition. And even though I was sick for 2 weeks of it, I had the stomach bug for 6 days, and then a sinus head cold thing, whatever. I'm still pretty proud of myself that I managed to read everything I did, and I read everything from my TBR video, which I'll put up in the cards, except for Children of Blood and Bone, which I only have 100 pages left of. So thank you everyone for watching, and have a great day.